And now we're ready to go.
Okay. Friends, yesterday I mentioned that there are two sets of karmas, punya karma and kusala karma. I mentioned the difference between these two. I hope you all remember the difference. Punya is punya means that action which makes us happy. Although we do so many things to make us happy, everything we do actually don't make us happy because there always is an ulterior motive. For instance, if you give dinner to somebody every day for 5 days or a week and so on, and that person would not invite you even for one day, then you might think, well, I have given him dinner for 6 days, he never invited me. And that is you gave dinner to him to be happy, enjoy company. But at the same time, he does not invite you, then you will be disappointed. And therefore, that we don't consider to be a punya. Punya is something that you do without expecting anything in return. Really selflessly, without any ulterior motive, you do something. It can be giving or helping someone, supporting someone, and like for instance today, this many millions of people are suffering from coronavirus. You do whatever you can to help them without expecting anything in return. So your mind is very happy. You are happy that you have done something instead of simply talking about it. You have done something. And that actually is called punya, the one that you did, which makes you happy. That can be a talk, that can be a physical help, and even thinking of their well-being and happiness, just like we do in meditation. We are doing it without expecting anything in return. So that is a punya. So the kusala is much deeper and even more powerful in the spiritual sense. Kusala is a thing, the thought, word, deed that we commit without greed, hatred, and delusion at all, not anything, expecting anything in return from anybody. And our motive is to kusala. Ku means kusala means skill. Skill. We develop a skill to move or exist in our life or live our life, trying to remove all the impediments or hindrances, fetters, asavas, anusayas, removing all of them. We want to move on in the spiritual life to attain liberation. The only motive we have behind is to liberate ourselves from greed, hatred, and delusion. No other ulterior motive. And for that we need a great deal of skill, because there are so many things that obstruct our way. There are all kind of hurdles. We got to cross all these hurdles, break all these hurdles, and move on to the goal until we reach the goal. That is much more powerful in the spiritual sense. And for that we need a great deal of skill. That is called kusala. The opposite of punya is apunya. Opposite of kusala is akusala. Akusala means unskillful thought, words and deeds. So therefore we must understand the difference between these two, kusala and akusala, punya and apunya. There are lists of punya. Some of them overlap with kusala as well, but punya or the things that we do to be happy we can have many of them, but in Buddhist tradition, as in Theravada Buddhist tradition, 10 of them are listed. The number one of them is practicing generosity. Practicing generosity is very important in order to reduce our clinging, craving, attachment, which causes suffering. The cause of suffering is greed. Generosity is reducing and removing our greed. Therefore, that becomes punya, and also it becomes kusala. But in the state of punya, it has underneath, even though we are generous, underneath that thought of generosity, there still can be trace of desire, trace of resentment or anger, and resentment of trace of ignorance. Because of the presence of this greed, ignorance, and hatred as underlying tendency in performing generosity, the results will be different according to the value, the gravity, the strength of our thought of generosity. But in the skill side, thought of generosity doesn't have any of those greed, hatred, and delusion. It is very pure state. And that is why earlier I said in one of my little talks that when you practice generosity as a kusala, when the greed is totally, when you complete the practice of generosity, then the greed will be completely vanished from the mind. There will not even be a trace of greed in the mind. But in punya side, it is not completely eliminated. It will still be there, and therefore when we are experiencing results, those results are not exactly what we expect, as strong as we expected. For instance, that person can be reborn, and according to the degree of greed, hatred, or delusion he had, in spite of practicing generosity, that person may have numerous obstacles to experience pleasure, joy, happiness in every life. Even though the person practice generosity, life always is not happy. Although the meaning of punya is happiness, that which we do to be happy, but we will not be expected, we will not be happy as we expected because of these underlying tendencies. That is the difference between generosity in as a punya and generosity as kusala. Now with this, this is the opening short talk, and then we continue this after our first part of our meditation. Now we go to our your screen, and you will see the metta recital, and so you can join me to recite it. Okay. All right. Okay. Now you can see it on the screen, and let us join. Let us recite this together. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere, neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother risks her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate from all world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. With this very noble thought in mind, let us continue our practice. This thought of loving friendliness is not just limited to thought, but it has great benefit. We build up our mental purity and strengthen our intention by practicing metta. When we do something intentionally, and that in the results become, this depends on the intention, on our intention. So our intention here is to clean our mind and to help all others in our own way without expecting anything in return. And that is the way we want to clean our mind with this very wonderful attitude, intention. We continue our practice, and then we go to the next part, that is our focusing our mind on breathing. Focus the mind on inhaling as inhaling, exhaling as exhaling, and simply notice the inhaling and exhaling breath with the awareness of the pause between inhaling and exhaling. As we do so, we become aware of the touch of breath at the rims of our nostrils, or rising and falling of our chest area, or rising and falling of our abdominal area. If you are familiar with one of them and comfortable with one of them, you may select that particular comfortable place to focus your mind on. And then as you focus your mind on the point you feel comfortable, you feel that breath. You feel, you will have perception of breath. You have attention to breath. You are conscious of the breath. So the breath, feeling, perception, attention, and consciousness are flowing in and out together with the breath. In other words, they arise with the arising of breath. They pass away with the passing away of or exhaling breath. And this happens without your particular effort. Your effort is to pay mindful attention to the breath. Mindful attention is the attention without greed, hatred, or delusion, pure, simple attention to the breath. Since the breath is so pure and simple, our attention also becomes pure and simple, and then our body becomes calm and relaxed. The breath becomes calm and relaxed. The mind becomes calm and relaxed. When all these segments or parts become relaxed and comfortable and peaceful, then we also notice every moment our inhaling and exhaling, all these segments, feeling, perception, and so forth, also rise and fall, showing that they are not permanent. They are all impermanent. When we have this awareness, our mind naturally grows into letting go of whatever arises and what passes away without trying to hold on to anything. That, in other words, is the attitude, thought, intention of letting go, letting go. And then arises real thought of friendliness, metta, loving friendliness arises more strongly, and then whatever resentment or anger we had would fade away. Then arises our very soft, gentle mental state called compassion. When this arises, our restlessness and worry fade away. Then gradually our sleepiness and drowsiness fade away. Then doubt fades away. As a result of that, there arises this generosity, loving friendliness, compassion, joy, and happiness and concentration. When concentration arises, mind becomes even sharper and clearer to notice the most subtle changes taking place in us. That is the goal of gaining concentration, to see very subtle, minutest changes taking place in us, and that is the reality. We know whether the Buddhas come into existence or not. This established truth of change, of impermanence is there all the time. And we get hold of it to understand what is happening to us every fraction of a second. Otherwise, we don't know them. With this, we let us begin our quiet watching, noticing this reality happening in us. I want to wish all those who are suffering from this virus and all those who are mourning, grieving the death of their loved ones, and all those who have been depending on them, minors, children, sometimes wives, parents, some relatives, and so forth, perhaps might have been depending on those who have passed away. Their loss is very, very unbearable for many people, even though people know that everything is impermanent. When this happened all of a sudden, the first wave of shock shake them up. That is inevitable, and therefore we want to wish them to be free from that shock, grief, and pain. And also there have been many people, there are many people who are in many ways trying to help these people suffering from this sickness, this virus, and those who have lost their friends and relatives. Many people do many things to console them, support them, to reduce their grief, and giving them physical, psychological, and financial aids and supports, and consoling them in many ways they can. And there are many people, doctors, nurses, and so on, who are trying their best to help these people to recover and also to prevent it from happening. They all dedicate their lives to this work with generous and compassionate metta feelings in their mind. We want to wish all of them peace, happiness, solace, and comfort, and liberate themselves from this virus and free them from them, and live in a very good health in good health and live long and to serve people. And friends, once again, I want to continue the little talk I started on karma. I said there are two categories of karma, in fact, four categories. Punya, apunya, kusala, akusala. I mentioned one on the punya side and its relation with the kusala side. You can think of it, especially when we practice generosity in our thoughts, words, and deeds right now, this very moment, to help individuals, families, organizations, countries, and so on. We do all this without expecting anything in return. Thereby, we not only gain joy and happiness, make us happy, but also we reduce our own inner impurities or our clinging, craving, attachment to anything. We, even though we cannot eliminate all of it at once, but this little practice help to reduce certain amount of our greed, the practice of generosity. The practice of generosity you can find in the heart of the Buddha's teaching, such as Noble Eightfold Path. In the Noble Eightfold Path, first is understanding of the benefit, the meaning of generosity. Second is the place where it specifically mentioned in the second step of the Noble Eightfold Path. That is the thought of generosity, letting go. Nekkhamma sankappa in Pali. Nekkhamma sankappa means letting go, abandoning, giving up. When we practice generosity, that is what we do. We let go of our clinging, craving, attachment to something. And thereby we commit a wholesome karma. So the wholesome karma starts from right understanding, and then when we practice generosity, we directly uh, are related to karma, chetana, thought. So with that, we start our generosity with the thought of generosity, nekkhamma sankappa. As we all know, the thought or thinking itself is karma, because karma begins from thinking. We have to think either with greed, hatred, or delusion, or without greed, hatred, and delusion. And according to how we feel, how we think, we act in thought, words, and deeds. And therefore, Buddha said the chetana, karma, thought is karma. So that is number one of wholesome or punya and kusala category. Unwholesome on that side is becoming stingy, unwholesome apunya. Stinginess and covetousness in fact make us unhappy. Generosity makes us happy. You can see the contrast between punya and apunya. Punya make us happy, apunya make us unhappy. The more stingy we are, more pain we have because we don't want to share what we have. Also, we do all sort of things to protect everything that we have very miserly without sharing with anybody. Therefore, when we try to protect everything we have without sharing with anybody, we have day and night to think, plan, and without even sleep. Perhaps every night the person going to bed thinking how much he or she has in the bank account, how much gold and silver, how much this, and think how to increase that, because desire is insatiable. It can never make us happy. So the nature of our mind is to add something when we are miserly, covetous, greedy. We learn only to add. We don't learn to subtract. that, that makes them unhappy. That is apunya. And then you can think of it quite often, more clearly, with more details and examples. Now, second wholesome punya, or second in the punya category, let me go through that first, and then we go to the other section. Punya and apunya. Punya, second category, second step is the observing moral principles. That's called sila. Sila. One day I mentioned sila is like sealant. You seal the cracks of your character, your life, your behavior. If something we do wrong, immediately we learn to correct it. And for our own benefit, our own happiness, we do so. Such a person who always learn to correct oneself without thinking of other people. We cannot correct the world, we cannot be the world's police. We can see in our own mind how wrong we are, what wrong we do. And Buddha said, no one is defiled anybody, and no one is purified anybody. One defiles oneself, one purifies oneself. That is 100% true. The state of mind, we have some awareness, even we can learn to control it, discipline ourselves. So in other words, that's called discipline, observing moral principles. That has a long, more powerful benefit, long-term results, especially when we meditate. We can meditate well if our moral principles are good, if we observe them without breaking, even if occasionally, unmindfully, somebody breaks it, one would immediately correct oneself and determine not to commit it again. Buddha says such a person shines like the moon that bright on the full moon night, free from clouds. Clouds are these defilements. So we train ourselves, cleanse the mind over and over again. That is the principle of morality. That is a wholesome thing, meritorious, that brings joy and happiness. Whenever one thinks, asks one's own mind, one one knows the conscience is clear, so the person will have a good practice, meditation, and many, many benefits are there. That is number 2. Also good karma, wholesome karma. That brings wholesome results. That makes us happy. I said punya is the thing that we do to make us happy. This is this is number 2. And we do observe them, not to get recognition, not to get certificate, not to get more points, not to get more credit, but to clean our own conscience. We practice it. And then number 3, even more important than all of them, actually the one that depends on the previous 2 is called meditation. Dhanam, Silancha, Bhavana. Bhavana is meditation. Meditation meaning in Pali, Bhavana. Bhavana means cultivation. Cultivation means the cultivating our mind. As we have mentioned several times before, it is not redundant or too much repetition, but it is very important to mention again. Cultivation meaning removing first all the rocks and trees and weeds and so on from a land, and then till the land, then remove all other harmful things from the land, and then use fertilizer, and then we plant seeds that will grow very well, producing good yield, yielding good results. And similarly, when we practice meditation, we overcome our mental impurities first, like hindrances, fetters, and tendencies, anusayas, and all these removed from the mind. And that is what we are trying to do. And that is called bhavana. The name of this place is called Bhavana Society. Bhavana Society. When my friend and I were brainstorming for a name, we came up with this name, Bhavana Society. When we were going to form the society, we had to have a name. Then we both went to a lawyer, and both of them were brainstorming on the way to the lawyer. And then we both came to this. My friend is Matt Flickstein, and he and I came up with this name, Bhavana Society. The purpose is meditation. So cultivating mind, purifying the mind, cleansing the mind, making our mind clear and pure, and live in friendliness, practice meditation, and make this place for other people to come and clean their mind, purify their mind, and enjoy the peace and happiness that we want to have in this place. When they come, they must feel peace, they must feel calmness, serene, and so on. So that is bhavana. So bhavana is that it has long and most powerful results. That is number 3 of this list of wholesome punya. And that also become wholesome kusala. I will explain that Later on, how it becomes a kusala. Then, when we do something wholesome, we cannot keep it in for ourselves. We want to share with others. When you do something very wonderful, you share with others. For instance, when you drive, you see a little kitten or puppy right on the road, and you may stop and quickly, with very, with what you call carefully, you stop other vehicles and pick up this puppy and bring home, or if you don't have facilities to, if you don't want to keep the puppy, you give to somebody else and save that puppy's life. Then you come to me and tell Bhante, I saved a puppy's life today, and you tell me the story. Then I say, that is so wonderful, thank you very much. I will be very glad to hear your story of saving this puppy. So you did something meritorious to make you happy, and you share it with me. So you are sharing your merit with me. You share it by telling me. I rejoice in appreciating it. That is the rejoicing in others' merits. So it is called Patti Pattanumodana. Pattanumodana, these two are very common thing in our Buddhist tradition, because we also want to do something to make us happy, and we want to share it with other people. That's a very noble, wonderful thing that most of us do. I mean, almost all of us do, not only Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jews, and so forth. Anybody can do that. Anybody can be generous. Anybody can practice sila, morality. Anybody can meditate. Anybody can do wholesome deeds. Anybody can share it with anybody else. So, friends, the list is, I mentioned only uh, five. There are five more, and I explain them tomorrow and continue this talk on karma. Now, karma always is supported by ignorance and desire. When ignorance and desire are no longer there is no karma. And therefore, in the dependent origination, the karma plays very important role in our life. So we talk more about it next time. If my time is up.
10:53.
Oh, so 7 minutes left.
We usually end at 10:50, but if you want to keep going, we can.
We end at 10:50. Okay,
Typically.
Okay, then we can stop here. And we continue tomorrow. And I want to wish you once again and very happy day. Also, once again, I want to share our merit. We acquired a lot of merit by doing this. Lot of merit to make us happy, full of joy, to bring peace to our mind. And we want this power of merits, meditation, power of meditation, power of metta, we want to use, and let us unite together, join together to wish all those who are suffering, all those who are related to these people, all those who really help them in many, many different ways, and all those, especially leaders who lead countries, nations, organizations, and so on, who have the power to make decisions and implement those powers, those decisions, and may they have wisdom. May they have wisdom to make wise decisions with compassion, love for all living beings, and help all of them to be free from this virus and return to their normal, very healthy old life and live long in very good health and attain peace. With this, I want to conclude this morning's little talk. Thank you very much for coming and listening uh, and participating in it. And you really gain a lot of merit by participating in that.